Welcome back to Quilt in Color. My name is Shalina. Today for my 15 minutes to quilt, I'm going to be working on a brand new quilt that I'm calling Ever Changing Quilt. It's one where the quilt can keep changing even after it's made. You and we both will have to wait to see what that actually means when the quilt is finished. I encourage you to practice some creativity for at least 15 minutes every single day, and I hope that you'll join me this month in the 15 Minutes to Quilt Challenge. Stay tuned till the end to find out how you can enter to win prizes. Stay tuned for the secret word of the day. Let's get started. Okay, I'm going to be working on the last project quilting challenge of the year, and the project quilting challenge is buttons. I recently made a quilt that is called Ruby Buttons. This time Trisha had provided a lot of different ways that you could interpret the word buttons, and I decided to take it very literally and use real buttons. So there was a quilt that I saw when I was a very new quilter. I had seen a pattern that had flap. You could manipulate it so that you could turn the flaps over and put buttons on them to leave them open, or you could turn them inside. You could actually make your quilt look different depending on which way you kept the flaps. And there were more than one layer of flaps. There were flaps that went like this and like as the triangles inside. We'll see them when we get to them. So it was basically a quilt that you could manipulate. There'd be little flaps over here, and you could turn them this way to make them look this direction, so the flaps would cover up the center, or you could turn the flaps this way where you could see the center. In this quilt, I studied it for a long time because I could not figure out how they did the second layer of flaps. I saw this pattern a long time ago before my computer crashed, so there's no way I can find that pattern again. And so today I'm just going to try it and see what happens. We'll just experiment and see how we can make this work. But there was a layer of flaps I could easily tell that it was really easy. And then there was another layer of flaps which I couldn't quite understand. But thinking about it now, maybe it was because they had set the quilt on point so that even though there'd be a layer of flaps here, they managed to get another layer of flaps going in the other direction. Because the flaps were not this way, they were in different directions. So we'll see how we can work that out. It'll just be a matter of experimenting to see how we can make this quilt. And it'll give me a chance to use the little tiny buttons that I got from a friend of mine. So let's think about the fabric choices. So I'll need 2 fabrics for the flaps because you need 2 sides and I want them to look different on both sides. And then I need 2 fabrics for the outside flaps, and then I need a fabric for the center square. And I'm not sure yet whether the outside fabric was, I don't remember really because it was such a long time ago, whether the outside fabrics were the same or different than the inside center square. I have a bunch of fabrics that I chose for this quilt, and so let's just go over and see if we like them. I have too many fabrics in here in this choice. So my first ones were just to get some regular fabrics here, but then I decided that I probably needed some lighter and darker colors to really make the quilt look different from each other depending on which way the flaps were centered, depending on which way the flaps were positioned, I guess. So I need 2 fabrics for the flaps, and I need 1 fabric for the center. Now this is the prettiest fabric. I think it's one that's gonna get the most attention. So I think I want this on the outside so I could use as much of the outside layers, so I can use as much of this as possible. So I'm going to use this for the outside background, I think. And hopefully there'll be enough space where this could show. And then for the flaps, I guess I need to think about what kind of fabric that I want for the center and the inside flap. So let's just work on that. I think we could probably go with the same mood for the flaps. So like if I use a light and a dark, then either way it would still work together. So maybe we'll use these 2 as one of the flaps. Like for this set of flaps. And then maybe we can use another one of these for the other set of flaps. I'm not sure. I think this works. So I guess this could work together, or one of these could work together. I don't think I want both of these blues. I just need to pick one. I think I like this blue better because it just has more interest than this. This is just kind of plain looking. So this looks more like a background fabric, although I could use it as a background too. Okay, yeah, let's save this one for later. We might use it later and use, do we want the yellow or do we want the red? This one just is more exciting to me. Okay, we'll save these also for later, for in case we need them for another background fabric. Okay, so we have, this is the, do we want to use the same background for both of these, or do we want to have a different background for each round? I'm not sure about this. I don't think this and this go together by themselves. Like the rest of these colors, to me, look like you could put them on top of each other and they would look okay. This one, because there's no creamy color in here. Maybe we could choose this. Yeah, but what about if we use this and this together, and this together, and this? And hopefully it's not too much in either direction, in any direction, I guess. Okay, yeah, let's go with this. And if we need a second round, then we can use some of these extra fabrics for a second round for the background. Because the background can be plain, so that'll be fine. And really what we can do is we'll go ahead and try these out, and we can make the flaps, which are going to be made with triangles, and then we can see what other things we need to do. So this is our initial idea, and I may just switch it out as we go along. So what I want to do now is to make flaps out of both of these fabrics, out of these 4 fabrics. I can leave this here. And the way I was thinking about it is I need 4 flaps, one for each side of the square. And what I want to do is I initially was thinking about a 1/4 square triangle to get the flaps, but if I do that, then the bias will be on the outside of the flap. And I don't want to do that because the flaps are going to be manipulated a lot to be able to button and unbutton. So I want the straighter grain to be on the outside. And so I'm thinking of half square triangles. So if I cut a half square triangle, then the triangle will be on the square this way. The bias will be here where the seam is, and this part will be straight, so it'll be easier for to manipulate. So I'm going to make 2 half square triangles out of each of these fabrics to get the 4 flaps. So now we need to think about the size. I want the inside triangle will be pretty small, right? It should be 5 inches. Let's think about this. If we make a 5-inch triangle, this fabric is not the one I'm going to use, but I'm practicing anyway. Approximately here, I think this will be a nice enough size. I don't even know if this is 5 inches. Let me grab the ruler. Okay, so if I cut it 5 inches, that was about right anyway. So this way, I think that's a good size flap. Hopefully it's not too big. If I cut it 5 inches, it'll actually be smaller because of the seam allowance. So I think that'll be a good size flap. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to cut these 4 fabrics into 5-inch squares. I'm going to put them together and sew all around the square, and then cut them in half to make the flaps. Okay, so I'm going to do that with both of these. I'm going to cut them in 5-inch squares, and then we'll make the flaps out of these. I need 2 5-inch squares out of each of these fabrics. It's National Roots Day today, so let's make the word of the day surname. Thank you for keeping me company while I worked on my ever-changing quilt. I hope that you enjoyed watching the decision-making process. I also hope that you got a chance to sew along with me today. And if you did, just let me know in the comments what you worked on today and you'll get an entry in the drawing. Another way to get the entry is to use the secret word of the day. 2 winners will win the quilt journal, which will help you document your special quilt. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all of your support, and I'll see you again tomorrow.